You go on Instagram, oh my gosh, that girl looks like she's having the time of her life. Oh, look at that beautiful landscape. And I'm very upfront. I'm a very honest person. Like, on my Instagram, I tell you about the time I broke down in the Outback, and I'm like 100K from like the nearest service station, or like the time I hit 4 kangaroos in like 6 months. Like, I'm very upfront about that. But most people are not. And so, like, people think, oh yeah, like traveling, everyone's happy, everyone's fine. But if you don't prepare for yourself, everything is not going to be fine.
Are we kidding? Oh my gosh, I love that. Hello everyone and welcome back to Life According to Nikki. Guys, today I have Rebecca here with me. And Rebecca's going to introduce herself and tell us all how we met, the story of who she is. We're going to get to all of that. But I just need you all to know that Rebecca and I were just talking. We were just chit-chatting away. And then I was like, can I bring out a mic? Can we record this? Because Rebecca is the type of person that you want a recorded conversation with. So that is the intro I'm going to give you. Rebecca.
Wow. That's a lot of expectation here. Okay. Well.
Who are you? How do we know each other?
Oh, yes. I mean, that's a story within itself, actually.
Yes,
so,
please, tell
all
it.
right. I'm Rebecca, and I'm from the U.S. originally. State of Pennsylvania is where I grew up as a kid. Geography was so cool. I was always looking at maps and looking at the globe, and I had this desire to just travel the world. And so as soon as I was legally able to leave home, I was like, peace out, see ya. And I went to uni in the States. So I went to LSU and right outside of New Orleans, or Baton Rouge is technically the city. And then on a whim, I moved to Alaska because I was tired of Louisiana. Lived in Alaska for a few years, but through all that time of living domestically and having stints abroad with various exchange programs and stuff, I still had that desire, like that childhood dream that, man, there's so much more in the world to see. And yeah, just one day I looked in the mirror and I said, if I don't go now, I'm never going to go. I'm nearly 28. I've been working professionally for 5 years as a social worker, and it was like the career is only going to progress more the farther that I go. And so, I just I took the risk, left a very stable job, and I decided to take the plunge. And so my idea, as I developed in my brain as a kid, was just to circumnavigate the world. See as all the countries you can safely and legally. And I wanted to do work holiday in Australia, so I came here first. And over 2 years later, I'm still here. But you know what? You can earn money with work holiday, and that's an experience within itself. So I'm preparing for the actual circumnavigation, hopefully by the end of this year. So that's exciting.
Are you going to work while you travel?
Well, probably not, because it would be illegal in most places. It'd be really hard to get work permits. And I mean, not hard, but there are more barriers to that in some countries. Some hostels will work for you can work for free accommodation, and you have work away, and occasionally they'll pay you, but a lot of it's under the table, so you gotta be a bit sneaky about it if you're going to do something like that. And depending on where you are, that's not recommended per se. But because I was working professionally for 5 years, and I was actually working 2 jobs for 5 years because I had student debt, because it's the US, you have student debt. So I tried to aggressively pay that off, and I paid it off in 3 years, and then suddenly I had financial stability, and I continued to work 2 jobs, like 60 some hours a week.
Wow.
And I just I used one job to basically put in savings and the other job to live on. And so I left Alaska with quite a lot of pocket change, and then I spent some, of course, getting here and resettling and moving around, but then I also built some savings in Australia. And then I put some money in investments, and my healthcare is in investments. And so if in theory I could go back and pull that stuff out of stocks and stuff if I had to, but hopefully I don't have to, because I'd like that to accumulate. I need to have a retirement, maybe. Right. I mean, I probably won't, but that's okay. But retirement's now. I'm semi-retired. No, no, I'm just kidding.
I love that.
I feel like it sometimes. It's a dream. But yeah.
Okay, so how did we meet?
Oh gosh. Okay, so that's a story in itself. So, I was in South Australia and I was working at a farm picking grapes for a winery, and I was needing to get to Perth to meet my parents in Iceland, because flying out of Perth is cheaper than flying domestically, just FYI if you go to Australia. And yeah. Oh, a flight to like Alice Springs is like $800. You can get to Bali for like $5 or less.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
So cheap flights to Bali.
Yeah. So I knew getting to like Kuala Lumpur or Singapore from Perth would be really cheap. So that was my destination. Hadn't seen WA, so it was gonna be I'm along for the ride. So I spent a month driving around South Australia. My car almost broke down, and that's a whole thing. But then I eventually got it fixed and crossed the Nullarbor Plain. And then when I crossed the Nullarbor Plain and finally got back into cell service, I found out that there was a hostel in Alice Springs that was interested in having me volunteer. And I'm not going to take down that opportunity, like going to the NT or Northern Territory, for those who aren't familiar with abbreviations, like Aussie lingo. There's so much history with Aboriginal culture, and, you have Uluru nearby, and, just being able to go there would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So, of course, I was going to take that. I was not driving that car back to across the Nullarbor to Alice Springs. Also, they asked us not to, just because compared to a lot of other parts of Australia, there are higher crime rates, and sometimes youth crime, they just sort of break, if your car is left unattended out in the street, sometimes it does get broken into. Doesn't happen to everybody, but those are risks, and they didn't want to be responsible for that, and they needed to keep their car parked for their, guests, basically. So there was another reason for that, but even if I wanted to bring the car, I wasn't going to be dragging it with me. So, well, airport parking is expensive, as we all know. And also, another thing, too, is if your car sits in a lot for several months, it's going to deteriorate mechanically over time. And Toyotas are really reliable cars, and that thing has been everywhere. It's seen some things on the road with me. That's a whole nother story within itself. But
we have to take pictures. Okay, I have to take photos of this car.
I have the photos. I'll just supply the photos. People are gonna be like, what did this girl do to her car? It's so bad. Anyway, but one thing I can say about Toyota, you could put it through a lot of stuff, but they're gonna be with you until the day you die.
Yes.
And I didn't want to decrease that life because of sitting at an airport lot for months. I wasn't really... I was expecting 2 months, but it ended up being 5. And I also, even if you're not there for 3 weeks, your battery's still going to go dead. You have electronics in the car, like the clocks. You don't think about that. Like your clocks, your radio, those things are electric, not necessarily mechanic. So that... it drains the battery, and then I have to get a jump in the airport, and I have cables, but how am I going to flag down in the lot, be like, hey, I need a jump to get out of here? It's just too much. I don't have time for that. So, at the same time, I'm pro couch surfing if you do it responsibly, and I was in contact with a student who was couch surfing, but unfortunately, university found out that he was couch surfing, so he had to cancel. But we were going to still maintain in contact, and I casually asked him, hey, you wouldn't happen to know a uni student who'd want a car for a couple of months? And pretty much that same day was like, oh, I have somebody for you. And I was like, great. And, well, I put out a message on Facebook because I was just curious to see if it was possible, if there would be interest, and, of course, I got a whole bunch of Facebook notifications. But people had to pass the vibe check. I interviewed everybody that I thought was a potential good fit. I had them test the car, make sure that, they could be trusted. Yeah. And also, some people don't, they're not familiar with driving on the opposite side of the road. So, gotta make sure, yeah. And me, when I first drove on the left side of the road several years ago, those are other stories. But, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that they felt comfortable, I felt comfortable, it was a good match. And so... yeah, I believe we did a Facebook FaceTime.
Yes.
And then I was like, okay, great match so far. So then we did like an in-person test drive and got to teach some laws about. I mean, you had the driving skills, even though everything's flipped. And then I got to put in the supplemental knowledge about certain laws, you know. But yeah, it was a great fit. And also I like the fact that, like, you weren't going to be taking it out to the bush.
Definitely not.
Yeah, like, I mean, you don't have time for grad school. So yeah, you aren't going to be, like, off-roading it or anything. Like, you're just going to, you know, use it for local stuff. And it's like, okay, well, the car's still getting used. The risk of it hitting another kangaroo or worse, camels, I don't know, worse. They're lower. And then the university seems safe. Like, I don't see nothing. It doesn't seem like much is happening around here. So I was like, okay, the car's going to be in safe hands. It's going to be in a secure lot. It's, like, going to be a responsible owner. So I was like, okay, we're going to do it. So then, yeah, you pretty much got the car that weekend. But I was like, here you go. Yeah.
It was amazing. I can't believe you trusted me after that test drive because I was, like, freaking out on that drive. It was my very first time ever driving on the left hand of the road. And I feel like I was, like, fully panicked. You were so calm and you were so great. Like, obviously now I'm good, but it took me probably like 2 weeks consistently. I forced myself in that car.
Oh yeah.
Because I was like, if I continue not driving it, I'm just going to be scared. Mm-hmm. So almost like every other night for a few weeks, I like forced myself to go on just like a 10-minute drive. To get used to the left side. Yes. And then I was okay. But I was like, wow, Rebecca really trusted me.
But see, there you go. So there's a reason why I interviewed people, vibe check. Yeah. I can intuit, I have a really high intuition. So instantly, within like 5 minutes, I can tell if it's a good match or not, if it's a good situation, if it's a good fit, if it's a good feel. If something doesn't feel right, I'm going to know it. Yeah. But like you checked all the boxes in multiple ways, like personality-wise, responsibility-wise. And so like, yes, it's a learning curve to learn on the opposite side of the road. Like your brain has been... like the neurological pathways in your brain have been told you gotta use this hand to shift and this hand to turn on the radio and turn and indicators are flipped.
Oh, the indicators.
That's a whole windshield. Yeah, exactly. So it takes a while to rewire your brain to think, okay, I'm in a different country. I gotta adjust to the road. Like not only the road laws, but also like the mechanics of the car are different. So like no, like that's. I mean, I'm not gonna let that be the reason why people don't use it. Yeah. Just as long as you are willing to learn and responsible, like that's my vibe. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And so yeah, I've been in and out of town for a while. Just hopping around different jobs without a car, living my best life.
How long have you been gone? I feel like it's been forever.
Well, hold on. From this city or like from home?
No, let's do both. So let's do like how long have I had the car, and then how long from home?
I handed you the keys in mid-May. And for context, this is New Year's, so...
May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December.
So, like, better part of a year. Or better part of... Yeah.
Almost 8 months.
Yeah.
It has felt like a year. Like, I don't remember a time before the car, like... And I don't know if I told you this.
Okay.
But before your message... Well, actually, it was... The person that was couch surfing, they put it on Facebook, and I was like, that seems way too good to be true, but okay. Like, someone needs their car taken for free. Okay. Oh, and then you were amazing on our phone call. I was like, this is like the coolest person I've ever met. But literally, I think it was like 3 or 4 days before that message was on Facebook. Okay. I was in my room, and I was just having, like, a really... I don't get super anxious, but, like, you know when you're, like, upset, but... And you're, like, on the verge of tears, and then you, like, check the calendar, and it's not your periods. You're like, what's wrong? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Like, because I think anybody who's lived abroad gets that sensation of, like, whoa, I must be, like, missing something from back home. Or, like, there's something going on that, like, logically I was fine.
Yes.
But clearly my body was, like, telling me something was wrong. So then I just, like, started crying, and that's just, like, really not me. I mean, I don't cry all the time, but, like, usually there's a reason. Yeah. And, like, so anyways, I was just, like, really upset that night. And I finally figured it out later in the evening. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I know what's wrong. I think I just feel very, very isolated. And I feel like I can't get out. And I'm, like, missing the life that I just barely had, like, given up. And, like, I was at the point, you know, in May, because I'd been here since January, that, like, I just felt so stuck, and the buses weren't what I thought that they were going to be. I'm comparing it to, like, Switzerland, where the public transit was amazing, and, like, these other places I've lived where it was, like, so easy to get around and, like, so nice. And here I was, like, not having that. And I just was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Like, I used to have this full life, and now... And I was fine. Yeah. Like, but I realized how much being, like, stuck in this building was taking a toll on me.
Yes, yeah.
And so I was like, okay, you know what? That's good to know that, like, this is affecting me and, like, my mental state or whatever. And I was just like... you know, we're just going to do some positive affirmation. It's going to be okay. Like, it's just a short time, 1.5 years, whatever. And so, like, then just a few days after, I was, like, crying and, like, you know, just kind of, praying to God, just being like, this is, like, really hard and difficult. And then I see your Facebook message, and then, boom, I get a car. Like, a week later. It was, like, this total miracle for me. Like, I was like, wow, God just, like,
Put it right there,
saw me crying, and was like, here you go. here's Rebecca.
Yeah.
Like, and it just worked out so well, at least for me.
No, I mean, me too, because, I mean, the car could have been, who knows what could have happened at the airport.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be good for the lore, we're not going to lie, but, like, imagine me, like, waving someone down, and, like, help me get a jump. It could be hours. I could be waiting there. Yeah. Or, like, you know, like, someone could be nosing around in the lot and just, like, I don't know, maybe I forgot to lock it or something, or they break in.
Well, you had a lot of stuff in it, too.
Oh, yes. And I tried to conceal it, like, slash, like, if it's gonna be, I mean, I take all my valuables with me, but, like, yeah, I try to not, like, make it not so, like, exciting for people, but, like, if it's noticeable, crime of opportunity, whatever, like, somebody could use some sleeping bags in a tent, sure. But, yeah, it helped me out, because then I didn't have to pay for the parking.
Yeah, it was underground parking, too, that I had.
Yes, exactly.
No sun damage.
Yeah, I mean, not that would matter, but and then, like, the mechanic, like, I can keep the mechanics going for longer, and, so it worked out for me, too, and... I mean, I call you my car sitter. I'm like, you're the best car sitter ever. And people are
my gosh.
And people are like, what? You have a car sitter? I was like, okay, that's a whole other story. Like,
I feel all the time, like, when I talk about the car, I'm like, and then, like, you have Rebecca, the car's owner. I'm just watching the car. Like, it's been very great. But then the fact that you were only going to be gone for, like, 2 months.
Yeah.
And then it turned into 8 months.
It turned into 5, and then it turned to 8, and
it's just been amazing. I mean... So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
So much
honestly,
for the car.
Yeah.
It's so great. And then just, like, being able to get to know you.
Yeah.
Through this whole thing, it's just been so delightful.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
It's been so great.
Lovely.
So that's how we met.
Yes. Yeah. that's a very long story. Yes. Yeah.
But it's a beautiful story.
Oh yeah.
Honestly.
And it's a good story of, like, God's grace, miraculous. Yeah. It's like there's multiple layers that you could go with this. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like the fact that we both were just, you know, able to kind of, like, answer each other's, like, needs and wants, and, like, it just worked out so
well.
Perfectly.
Yes.
It was so nice. Oh my gosh, it's been amazing. And truly, I haven't even used it, like, a ton, but it's just so nice when I want to go to the store that's, like, you know, a 6-minute drive away, but it's, like, 40 minutes by bus.
Exactly. You're not relying on other people to, like, do your
so
chores.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's so great. It's been wonderful. And then, like, I could drive to church. I could do activity. Yeah. Perfection. Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, so now I want to get into your life as, like, a backpacker, because how long have you been away from home?
Okay, so this stint it's been, let's see, I left Alaska September 23. And so that's technically the start of my world traveling journey. But I left the U.S. early November of 2023. Haven't been back since. Yeah. So, and this is, so we're in 2026 now. Wow. Okay. So we're going on a little over 2 years.
Wow.
But I have done different stints abroad for various lengths since I was 16 years old.
Okay, we're going to talk about this.
Okay, yeah.
I want to talk about leaving home, really not having, like, you had a plan in your head, but it's one thing to have the plan and then you actually have to get to the country and then, that's a bit different of how that actually goes. And I talk to a lot of people, especially women, that's like a big audience that I serve, about traveling and about living abroad and kind of the elements that takes. And I've interviewed quite a few different people with different travel styles, I guess, but I've never interviewed a backpacker.
Okay.
Because I do the whole, like, I go live in one place, I either work or I study at, like, one place, and, like, I'm established, got my community, I don't adventure very much, it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Then I've interviewed Ellie, who she does, like, the ILP or, like, trips, where she'll sign up, I think it's called, like, Global something, I don't remember.
But they have different programs, different companies do stuff like that.
Exactly, where she'll go with, like, a company, so even though she's a solo female traveler, she likes to go and, like, be a part of a group and do traveling kind of like that way. And then I've talked with Sierra, I have, like, a flight attendant friend.
Yes.
So, some different styles, but backpacking specifically.
Yes.
If someone's curious about that, if there's a woman out there that's like, you know what, oh my gosh, like, I'm hearing Rebecca talk, and it's like, oh, I've had that dream, Yeah. Okay, what are the elements to, one, leave your corporate job?
Ooh, okay.
And then, what does it really take to, like, what should you mentally prepare for, or what is the different expectation that you should be aware of when living abroad? Do you know what I mean?
Yes. That's a lot to unpack. So I think I want to put into context that we should set some ground rules in the sense that, like, compared to other people, I have different life experiences, different family background, etc. And that part of my identity is going to affect how I travel, what challenges I may face, what strengths I may have, etc. So, for an example, even when I was 2, 3, 4 years old, very independent, I loved my freedom as a kid, and so anytime I felt that my freedom was a bit restricted in some way, it caused a little bit of, like, uncomfortability. I was, and so and to this day, like, I still pride myself on that independence, and I still, like, if I feel like I'm a bit constricted, like, for example, you talked about, like, you not having the freedom to, like, go out with a car, like, you had to rely on a bus, or, like that I would feel the same way. That would give me a lot of, like, maybe anxiety is not the right word, but it would just make me feel unsettled in some way. And so, like, I have acted on that irrationally before. In uni, that's another story. But, so that's where I come from, and other people's life experiences are going to be different.
Right.
They might not have had that independence or freedom as much as I have or chose to have, or maybe they are really close with their family, maybe they have a partner, or maybe they have a different job, or, I mean, there's so many, maybe they came from a really troubled background even, like, I've met some people on the road that came from really, really terrible things, and so having to overcome that is going to be a challenge within itself. But I think surface level, it's easy to be, I don't want to say dismissive, but I think it's easy to be like, you just got to do it. But that's sort of the really unsympathetic response I have in some ways. So, yes, we all come to the table with different challenges, different strengths, but if you don't if you don't at least try, how do you know you can or cannot do something? You might surprise yourself. You might, like, the challenges you might have actually might be really easy overseas for various reasons, or maybe, like, or at least you get more confident in, like, being able to adapt to it over time.
Yeah.
Now, leaving the corporate job as an American, and I'm sure some places that come from hustle culture countries are gonna feel the same way. It's not easy. You're indoctrinated from the time you're in preschool, even, like, oh yeah, you gotta work hard, live the American dream, go to school, you gotta graduate. Oh, and then you gotta go to uni because
no gap year.
No gap year, just go straight into it. Oh, you finished uni or trade? Okay, now you gotta get a job. Oh, okay, so now retirement's like 65, 67? Okay, well, you better be working till then. And then, once you hit that Social Security age, maybe you can start traveling. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. There are a lot of things that can go wrong between preschool and 67. Unfortunately, worst case scenario, you might die. Right. And I don't want to be funny about it, but that's the serious thing. I have encountered I remember vividly as a teenager, one of my dad's really good friends died, and he had just retired months before. And it really shattered my dad. He's still affected by this day, but I saw a huge transformation in him where suddenly it was like, there's no way that I am going to be working till I'm 67 because I might not live that long. And so he tried his best to retire before then, and he did sort of, but he's also a very antsy person, so he went back to work. And anyway, so I got to see that kind of unfold in my life, by the time I got to teenager, I was a teenager, and socially you're sort of expected to act a certain way and do a certain thing. So you have these childhood dreams, but sometimes you just feel obligated to kind of put them aside because that's not a place for society. It's kids are so creative, but society says, okay, you can only be creative in this way. And so that childhood innocence sort of goes away. It's sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
But that was always in the back of my mind anyway. And then COVID happened, so it was okay, well, it makes sense to get a job, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I had student debt, so I wasn't doing anything until I got that paid off. And when I paid that off, something clicked. I was like, whoa, I could do whatever I want now. And so I chose to just aggressively save. I don't know what I was going to do, but I was looking at cruises to Antarctica. I was doing everything. That sense of traveling, because I felt a bit stuck in work. I did a lot of good things. I helped a lot of people. I feel really fulfilled. I still talk about my social work days. Any opportunity I get, I have a story. I something in my day will remind me of a client, and I think that helping others is a big part of my identity too, and that will always be part of me. And it makes me an interest. I think it provides a lot of interesting characteristics as a backpacker too, but it's also a different conversation. I think one day, though, I just looked at myself in the mirror because I was getting a bit burned out, and I was like, okay, you've had this, you don't have any debts, you don't have a partner, you don't have children, you have no pets, you have no dependents, you don't even have plant parents, you're not a plant mother, so there's nothing holding you back except yourself. And so at that moment, I looked at myself in the mirror, if I don't go now, I'm never going to go. Because if anything, in social work, my job prospects will only increase. Yeah. They were already interested in potentially seeing if I would get promoted up in the company. And that would have been cool, but I had to think, did I really want that for myself? And I was just you know what? I could try. If I find that it's not going to work out, I just come back and go back to social work. I'll get a job tomorrow, Yeah. And so that night, I went to my computer and I typed up a long working holiday visa to Australia draft. I had it all queued up, ready to go. And I think it sat there for a few weeks just because, life happens. But then after the new year, I just submitted it. I actually got the visa before I got the notification that I submitted the application. It was, I didn't even believe it. I thought it was fake. Because, since when do you get a visa before you get, the confirmation? Yeah. And then they sent me another email saying, congratulations, you got this visa. And I was like, oh, this actually happened. This is real. Now, I'm locked in now. I can't go back. So, now they give you a year to get to Australia, which is very generous, I may add. And that also was very helpful because as a social worker, you cannot just say, bye guys, see ya, because the people, the clients that you have, they come from really traumatized backgrounds, and so by you just piecing out without providing any sort of guidance, transition, closure, you're going to re-traumatize them. So that actually was a blessing because it allowed me to put in my notice, but also say, what can I do for you to help you transition? And so whether that's find you a new like place to work. I mean, because I did vocational training, so it's a bit different from like classic social worker, like clinician. But I still had rapport with youth and young adults, and I still worked really closely with the clinical team, and so providing that transition for everybody, because it's dysregulating when you like lose a core member of your team, a core member of your life, a positive mentor. So yeah, I closed that up. Interesting story about that though. I'm not on a diversion, but so I actually ended up telling the CEO, like the CEO had found out that I was leaving, and it was like, oh yeah, like I heard you're leaving. I was like, yeah, heading to Australia, you know, just wanted to travel. He was kind of like, oh, like what, like is there like something that made you motivated? And I was like, 9-5 life ain't for me, you know, like I was done, like. But to tell the CEO that, I was just like, that is something that you don't do in hustle culture. But I was just like, at this point, you know what, whatever, yeah. So
well, and the fact that you knew that, like,
yes,
you had enough time to establish, like, you did try it, and because I think that there's a lot to be said about, you know, people being like, no, this isn't for me. Okay, like, give it a shot, and then if that is, like, so true, then you can leave with, like, assurance that, the 9 to 5, or, like, this particular lifestyle is not for me because I did it.
Yes.
I did it to the extent that it could be done, and it just wasn't it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is giving it time to transition, and a lot of it's intuition.
That's
so
true. Yeah.
The intuition didn't come right away because, I mean, part of it was COVID related, so, like, it wasn't really going to do anything much anyway. But something kept speaking to me, especially after I paid off my student debt. It was just kind of like that itch to get out and go and explore kind of kept creeping back up. And, I mean, I've kept suppressing it since I was probably, like, 4 or 5 years old, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it finally got to a point where I was like, you know, I can't really suppress it anymore. Like, you just, like, I'm taking a lot of risks, both, like, financially, socially, culturally. Like, this is not something that most Americans, like, I wouldn't say approve, but, like, there is, if Americans are bothered to actually get out and, like, see the world, because some aren't, and that's okay. People have their differences. There's still that sort of, like, expectation that you do have to work, and it's really hard to fight that, especially if your parents are all for it as well. And so, or, I mean, it doesn't even have to be parents, it could be social supports, like, any sort of support system. So, like, if the people around you are like, oh, no, why aren't you working? Then you're going to feel less entitled to, like, make a decision like that. But, I think my parents were a bit thrown off, not going to lie. But they also knew I had a travel bug in me. So I think in the end of the day, they're like, well, you're an adult, you can make your own decisions as long as you're not doing anything, like, crazy. I guess you're right, you know, so.
Plus, you were 28.
Yeah,
so, like,
yeah. So
you're like a real adult.
Yeah, so like I played the game, and so now I can always go back, but I can't. The one thing that you can never take back is time. So I, just packed up my stuff, sold as much as I could. I had a little Toyota, or not Toyota. I didn't have a Toyota then. I had a little Hyundai Elantra from like 2010. And so I just shoved all the remaining possessions in there, and I drove from Alaska all the way to Pennsylvania, because I hadn't seen my parents in 5 years.
Wow.
So, you know, but I did a whole road trip through Canada, and it was absolutely amazing. Like, I had the time of my life, and I was like, this is this type of lifestyle I want forever. So, I don't know if I answered all of the questions.
So, the road trip, then coming here.
Yes.
Doing that by yourself.
Yes.
How do you handle the loneliness? What kind of things should people, if they're going to do something like that, if that calls to them, what should they be aware of?
Okay. Well, again, going back to the ground rules.
Yeah.
I have always been independent. You know what? I honestly love being by myself. I mean, I'm an ambivert, so, like, I am a really awkward extroverted introvert, so in the sense that, like, I'm probably the most introverted extrovert you'll ever meet, but the most extroverted introvert you'll ever meet. Like, I'm dead in the middle. I have the personality test 50-50. So, like, it comes and goes in waves depending on various factors, but, like, there are times where, like, I have all this energy and I live in my best life and I'm going out 5 days a week to like sing karaoke by myself. Like I don't care. Like I'll do it alone. You can't let people not being there stop you from doing things you want.
I preach that so much.
Yeah.
I preach that till like I'm freaking blue in the face.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
like I would always, because I am an extrovert. Like
Yes.
I would always rather have people with me and doing things with me. Always. Like that is my preferred thing. I would much rather. But the lack of someone coming or like someone saying no is never gonna stop me from doing an activity, from going to the movies or from going out to dinner.
Yes, yeah.
Or even just like simple things. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, going to another country. But like I don't think we do this enough. Instantly like, oh, I don't have like my security, my people with me or something. Now I can't do it by myself. I think more women especially should be comfortable. Go and do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
and so that was the other point I was going to say. Like, yes, I've always been independent, and people might be real, like, my parents and I didn't get along. Don't get me wrong. Like, I have a great relationship with my parents, but I know some people have way better relationships with their parents. Like, I might give them a call every 5 or 6 months. Just, I'm alive, hey. But, like, some people, it's like, I call my mom every night at 7. And it's like, yeah, that would be really dysregulating if you stopped that for everybody.
Yeah.
So having to find that routine, and it takes on a new, like, you have to find independence that works for you in that sense. But also the big $1 million thing is confidence.
Ooh.
You have when you throw yourself out of your comfort zone, that you're putting it's like jumping off the deep end and not being able to swim. So that's very, very scary for a lot of people.
Yes.
And like, unfortunately in life, like, there are people that put you down, and it's really hard to get over that. And there will always be a part of you that will be tarnished by that. And so those lived experiences, whatever they may be for people, like, they're valid. I just want people to know that. And it does take a lot of work to get past that. I don't think I can necessarily give a tip for how to get past that, because I think that is going to be unique to each person. Yeah. But I think an open mind and a good attitude and just the willingness to try is probably a good foundation to start on. And so, yeah, I had no idea what was going to be coming from me in Australia, or like any other solo backpacking trip I've taken on, or any other trip I've taken on by myself. But I always come out feeling stronger and like more knowledgeable about myself and more confident in myself, because like I did that. Like I might have gotten my credit card stolen within 5 minutes, but I did that, like I survived. Yeah, sure, I hit like a bunch of kangaroos in the outback, but my car's fine. I survived. Yes. I got kicked out of my accommodation within like 2 hours notice, but I survived. Like, I didn't end up dead. And so like those little things like slowly start building up your confidence. But I think the initial plunge is the big factor. It's kind of like any other New Year's resolution, going to the gym. If you don't, you got to start going to the gym, and then as soon as you do it once or twice, then you do it.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
But I also know that some people just naturally need to have somebody with them some of the time. And so that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, especially if you've been in a relationship, like, for so long with somebody and they don't want to come with you, but you still want to do this, like, yeah, that would be really hard to, like, for both people to, like, just leave the other person for a long term. So that would be really dysregulating for someone who's been with someone for so long and then suddenly by themselves. But I think within the backpacking community, everyone kind of comes to the table a bit vulnerable because they don't have those supports back home directly with them. Sometimes people do travel as friends. It's a mixed bag if that works out long term, but at least it can get you into the country, or into the new place with that social security blanket, and then you can branch off and do your own thing as you get your own confidence. So if that's what you need, then totally do it.
Yeah. Try
to find somebody. But again, if you can't find someone that is willing or interested, don't let that hold you back just because they aren't there. Because once you get to the new place, I find that it can be really isolating and scary, but backpacking hostels is always that one extrovert that just like doesn't shut up. Like, like somebody will come up to you in your worst state, and they'll try to be your friend. And you meet a lot of new people. You meet a lot of people that way, and then you build a new support system. And I think that, and when you build that new support system, that builds a lot of confidence. But yeah, and then so. I'm thankful that I've never really had problems with that throughout my life, but I know that other people would go through those challenges, and so it would take a little bit of time to work for, because as I'm going to transition to the next thing, culture shock. That if you need to know something that you're not going to expect, there's a little phenomenon called culture shock, and you don't know it's there until it hits you like a freight train, because
you cannot brace.
No, you cannot. You can only mentally prepare for it, but you cannot do anything to run away from it, because
yes.
When you go to a new place, everything's different. The smells, the sights, it's exciting. Like it's like the honeymoon phase. Like your brain is absorbing all this new stimuli, and it's like, whoa. I mean, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, what did I do to myself? But sometimes it's like, whoa, real ramen from Japan, let's go. Yeah, I don't know. Or like, wow, like I've never seen that bird. And like the little things will like catch you. A kangaroo. The first time I saw a kangaroo in the wild, I was like, man, a wombat, koala, like, oh man, I was like, whoa, exciting. Yeah. Eventually, though, as you integrate into society a little bit, little things start creeping in that are not the same as where you come from. And, of course, that's expected. Like, you know that in your brain. But it affects you in weird ways that you don't anticipate. And so, depending on what it is and who you are, it's going to affect you differently. So, when I know and I'm in culture shock phase, when I constantly want to fight the system, I'm just like, come on, I'm going to go after, like, I mean, granted, I'm American, so we always have a sort of, like, if I feel like I'm being done wrong, we're going to try to figure this out.
Yeah. Whether you want to or not,
we're going to have a conversation about it at least, and try to advocate for yourself. That's what Americans do, and they go a little wild sometimes, but so, if, like, when things don't go if I start feeling culture shock, like, some people, like, I will try to fight the system, and it's weird, because, like, you can't fight the system. Like, logic, like, it's so stupid to talk about this, because it's like, you can't change a whole culture. That's just too ambitious. But
it's so true.
I do get a bit edgy, though. So, like, if somebody does me dirty, I'm gonna, like, no, I'm coming, like, I'm not gonna beat them up, but I'm gonna, like, I'm gonna try to, like, I'll do all the research and be like, okay, what are the laws here? Like, and there are stories related to coming to Australia that backpackers should be aware of, especially if they do work holiday, that I've experienced, but because I was in that culture shock phase, it kind of like forced me to get to the bottom of it. But unfortunately some people, they do get massive anxiety. Some people get depression. Some people might have really hot tempers. I don't know where you would fall in that, but there are emotions that you don't typically feel, but then you can't explain where they're coming from per se, because you can't necessarily nail where it's coming from until it clicks. It's like, oh, yeah, dunas are a thing here. Like, it could be something as bedding. Like, Americans don't usually use dunas unless you buy from IKEA.
What's it?
Yeah, like duvets. Duvet. They call them dunas in Australia, but like duvet, like. Yes. Unless you shop at IKEA, like, Americans usually aren't exposed to that. And so we use, like, comforters or blankets. So, like, I was trying to find when I first...
Oh, my gosh, at the store.
Yeah, you go to the store and you're like... I mean, I already knew this before I came to Australia, but the first time I went to a country and lived there and needed to buy blankets, I was like, why can't I find a blanket? Why is it like I buy the duvet thinking it was a blanket, and then I put it on my bed. I was like, why is there a hole in this thing? And I'm like, I just want to like come on. And I go back and I return. I'm like, this is stupid. And then I get my refund, and then I go buy another one, and it's the same thing. And I'm like, what the heck? And then finally it's like, oh, duh. They don't do that here. They don't have like you use duvet covers. And so for me, I'm like. But for some people, they'd be, like, really anxious or really sad or, like, I don't know, like,
oh my gosh.
cathartic, maybe.
Yes. Exactly what you're talking about. Oh my gosh, sorry, let me figure out how to speak. Because I feel like I'm relating so much to what you're saying that I'm like, my body's like, yes, like, it is simple stuff like this. This is the stuff that I tell people you can't prepare for, but mentally you need to realize when you go to the store, something as simple as going to the store, something even in an English-speaking country, in a country that is very, like, mirrored to America, it feels very, like, in some aspects American.
It's quite similar, yeah.
Yeah. Very, like, Western, yes. But there are simple things that are going to be different and that you are not going to know, and it's going to be so frustrating. And then, like, the duvet thing, there was a couple of things here with the bedding. That's hilarious that you bring that up, because literally the bedding, I had the same freaking issue. The same issue with the bedding.
Yes.
But, like, when I was in Switzerland, I'm using my Google Translate app, because you add language, that's a complete other...
That language in itself is a culture shock.
Oh my gosh.
That makes it so much harder.
But, like, trying to decipher between shampoo and conditioner, because they're the same freaking word on the bottle on Google Translate, like, I was actually gonna lose my mind.
Yeah.
I was
And then that's the thing too. Like, when you encounter these things, you're probably fatigued because you're especially when you're in a place that you're not speaking the native language or don't know it.
It's exhausting.
It is so exhausting. So you're already exhausted, and then you go, like, you look at the store, like, you look at the outlet. Oh, I don't have the right adapter, and then you're just like, you're gonna crash out, like. You will crash out. There will be tears. There will be anger. There will be sadness. There will be all the emotions. I think of, like, Inside Out. It will be you will be inside out. But you have to sort of, like, calm and be like, okay, like, you just have to take a moment to pause.
Yeah.
Like, if you have to remove yourself from the situation for the moment, and it's not, like, time sensitive, then do it. Like, but like you might not, like, the labels on, like, like, laundry detergent. Like, I don't know the brands here. What's reliable? Like, that's
the brands.
Yes.
The brand thing is, you guys, you don't understand how real this is. Yes, you can have the same type of products in a country. Again, English speaking, right? English speaking to English speaking country. Not a single freaking brand is going to be something that you know. And so, yes, you can go to a grocery aisle and you can look at all the things and you can know what you're looking at. I'm looking at laundry detergent, or I'm looking at granola bars, or I'm looking at this. But not knowing what is something you would like, or a reliable brand, or, like, what it contains, is so tiring that it's not just, like, instinctual of, like, oh, this is what I always use. Like, you have to use your brain in, like, constantly, and that's what gets tiring. At least to me. Like, that's...
Oh, definitely. And
and then you go home at the end of the day and you're like, why am I exhausted?
Yes. Why do I feel like I'm dying right now? Yeah.
It's because of that.
Yes.
Because, like, all these things that were instinctual that you don't even think about, that you're so familiar with, you're just, every single thing is unfamiliar, even if you have some frame of reference in an English speaking country and stuff. Like, it's just so, you have to be okay with the discomfort that you are just going to massively feel at all moments.
Yes. And you brought up a good thing about food. So, English to English speaking country, I can read words. I don't have major allergies. I am thankful I don't have major allergies, but there are some countries that are not going to be as, I guess, upfront about allergens. So I think because so many kids in the U.S. have allergies, they might not have the best system, but they are very, I think people are a lot more conscientious at the restaurants in terms of, like, okay, this may contain peanuts, this may contain dairy. And some countries do it better with labeling. Like, I would say, like, here it's, like, bolded and, like it's in your face if there's a major allergen. And some countries have different major allergens. But if you don't know the language, how do you know what word it is? Like, what if I'm deathly allergic to eggs? What's eggs in, like, French? Like, and then you have to, so, like, and then you go to a restaurant, and some countries are not going to have the allergen warnings because maybe allergens aren't common in those countries. So then you're going to, like, okay, so how do I ask the waiter, I'm deathly allergic to peanuts. Does this have peanuts in it? And we don't know the language or can't, or like you, yeah, or don't know the food even. Like, what I've never seen, what is, I different, I'm trying to think of an example, but like if you go to a country and you've just never heard of like a certain food, like what's in it? Like how do I know there's not peanuts in it? And then like that's a whole nother complexity. So if you do have allergens, that is going to be a challenge for you, and I think you'll have to be super alert, and it might be a little bit anxiety inducing, but like do your research and call ahead if you can, or really communicate. Even with Google Translate or the Translate apps will probably be your friend in this case to like really explicitly say like, if you feed me peanuts, I will die. Like, yeah. So, but yeah, those are things that like I've had friends that have come to Australia thinking, oh yeah, like they'll have. I was like, you realize like Australia doesn't, like from my experience, they're not as upfront about allergens in restaurants. She ended up in the ER one day because she ate something that had peanuts in it. So, I mean, it can happen in an English-speaking country from an English-speaking person. So,
that is such a practical, good piece of advice. So thank you for that, because this is the kind of stuff that I like people to be aware of. And that's not to say that if now you're someone who like, you know, has a gluten intolerance, you have like celiac or something, that it's like, well, great, now I can't travel. Like, no.
You can.
You absolutely can. But then this can hopefully be more empowering for you, that you can be aware of these things so you can not only mentally prepare, but you can also, like, you can look at forums beforehand. There's certain apps I know, that, like, my friend who has celiac disease, like, when we were in Scotland, there's, like, a specific app that says it's, like, for gluten-intolerant people.
Yes.
Like, there's different things like that. Like, you won't be the first person with a peanut allergy in that country.
No, but there are tools out there that it will be a little inconvenient to have to Google everything, but if you want to go out to eat, but it's there.
But yeah, and so preparing for that particular inconvenience, I think, is helpful to people in giving them the confidence that, yes, it's going to be inconvenient and that's going to be hard, but I'm going to be aware that that's difficult.
Yeah. And then I think one more thing one more major thing is just like your expectations of what something will be quite different from reality.
Oof, yeah.
So like you go on Instagram, oh my gosh, that girl looks like she's having the time of her life. Oh, look at that beautiful landscape. And like, so people, I'm very upfront. I'm a very honest person. Like on my Instagram, I tell you about the time I broke down in the Outback and I'm like 100K from like the nearest service station, or like the time I hit 4 kangaroos in like 6 months. You know, like I'm very upfront about that. Yeah. But most people are not, and so like people think, oh yeah, like traveling, everyone's happy, everyone's fine. But if you don't prepare for yourself, everything is not going to be fine. So for context, like in our brains, we have, I guess, like from an evolution standpoint, like for survival, like we need security. Like I think of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you have like the physical level where like food, shelter, things that like keep you alive is like the first layer. And then you have a sense of security. That's like your next. So if you have your food met, you have your water met, you have your shelter met, then you have your security. And our security would be your life back home. So you might have support systems, whether they're friends, family, like work buddies, I don't know, like people seek community in all kinds of ways. And then you have your job, maybe, or student, or maybe you just graduate from school or whatever. Like you have a life and you grow up around this culture with different expectations in society and stuff like that. Well, when you're traveling, you pretty much just flip the table over with all the food on it and you go elsewhere. And everything is different. You no longer have your support systems. You no longer have the same job or school. You don't have, like, your food's going to be different. Your scenery's going to be different. And when you don't have that sense of security, it can be very dysregulating. Yeah. So I'm going to put on my social worker hat now. So, like, when you experience trauma as a child, it actually rewires your brain. So if like a firecracker goes off once and you get scared from it, yeah, that will be a scary experience, but it's not necessarily going to rewire the pathways long term. Like, it will stick in your mind, but you might have a fear of fireworks now, but, like, it's not going to always, like, I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, like, on the severity of it, but, like, it's not necessarily doom and gloom after that first instance. But if it's chronic, if it's repeated, if it's time after time with the same thing, suddenly you no longer think rationally when you're exposed to that stimuli. It's automatic survival mode. So then it's almost like a highway with a construction zone. So, like, you automatically, like, build a new road to avoid the construction. And sometimes that has you acting in a bit impulsive ways, or just, like, a bit, or, like, it,
like, avoidant.
It can be avoidance. It could be fight or flight. It could be submit and comply for some people. It could, but then that brings a lot of shame. It can bring anxiety and depression because you're afraid to, like, you're always on edge. Like, am I gonna hit that stimulus again? And then there's the shame factors, like, where, like, you're not, like, you can tell that it's, to you, perceived as not normal to act this way when these things happen. And so so going back to like, we as humans need routine and structure. So, like, a big part of the rehabilitation process, or, like, helping people overcome that trauma in their childhood or even in their adulthood, like, it could work for, like, just like that treatment process is to make sure that you have routines and, like, structure that keeps you regulated. And then I can go, like, on and on about, like, upregulation and downregulation strategies, but that's not really part of the conversation. But what is if you're outside of that routine that you had your whole life in a different country or a different place, and suddenly your routine, just everything changes, like, time zones are different, and then, like, customs around, like, what meal times are, and, like, just little things like that can be really dysregulating. And so if you don't have coping skills, or don't have good coping skills, I mean, everyone has coping skills, but sometimes they're not good coping skills. So if you don't have good coping skills that help you regulate, it's going to be very, very difficult to adjust abroad. You'll be more likely to probably isolate yourself because you get overwhelmed or anxious, and then when you isolate yourself, you might feel like, oh, nobody likes me, and then that creates shame, and then that creates more isolation, and that creates more, oh, nobody, it just becomes like a cyclical issue, like self-fulfilling prophecy almost. And so if you can't prepare for that, or, like, find ways to sort of navigate that in a healthy way, or seek support, like, there's so many people out there to help. Like, I would help if I saw you struggling, I would help you. But yeah, then I think people then realize, like, actually, like, there is no fun in traveling. Like, I'm like, I think you can't focus on the really positive aspects of it, and it's
because you're just in survival mode.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So then at that point, you might get homesick, and you might feel compelled to just kind of abandon ship. And that's really unfortunate because, I mean, I think you are going to face challenges. That is a part of traveling. Even the most experienced travelers are going to come across some really crazy stuff, but it's how you handle it. And then each time you handle a challenge, you build
that confidence.
It builds that confidence, and then builds that, like, repertoire in your brain. So, like, I can pull out some pretty crafty stuff because I have dealt with some pretty crafty stuff. And so then it might not work every single time, but you at least know, like, what tool from your toolbox that you need to react in a certain way. And so like, I know a lot of travelers, especially the really introverted ones, that, like, if I don't, like, watch movies in my room before I go to bed every night, I'm going to be, like, completely out of sorts. And so if that's the way you cope with all the changes, and you're watching movies from home, like, awesome. With that said, though, a big part of that transition process is learning local language. So if you're anti-local language, then I'm sorry, like, you're not going to get very far very quick. And it's more than just, like, making sure that you feel comfortable, it's also, like, a matter of respect. Like, if you expect people to, like, constantly speak English to you, like, sorry, like, that's just not gonna happen. Like, the whole world is not gonna bend backwards over for you because you're an English speaker or, like, a French speaker or whatever. So, and it is gonna be uncomfortable if you're not fluent or you're not comfortable speaking, but the more you, like, you can even take classes. Like, if you at least try and put yourself out there, it does help. It might not cure the anxieties and the challenges, but it will, like, language is power, language is knowledge, knowledge is power. It's and people will be more likely to respect you when you try.
Yes. I think that that's true across the board. Like, because people can see the effort.
The genuine,
Yes. And I think respect, when you do have it for a place that you're going to, you respect the difficulty, but you respect that you are, like, the weird one. You are the immigrant. You are the outsider here. And when you have respect for that, and then, you know, you have respect for everyone around you, and you're, like, willing to adjust, and you run into that, what you talked about, that anger that you feel where you're like, I'm ready to fight the system.
Yeah, let's go. Yes,
that is so real. That is, like, the most real thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But then when you're when you feel dysregulated like that, when you're like, this is so stupid, why do they do it this way, and I wish it was different, and I know a different way, and, like, being able to accept in a lot of ways that, like, you alone are not gonna change things, and, like, it's okay to be frustrated, it's okay to be upset, but, like, ultimately, you do need to you need to calm down and, like, be respectful of the fact that you may know something different, and you may think that it's actually going to be way better for everyone, but if you were not in a position to, like, actually change anything, sometimes you just gotta sit back and be like, you know what, I am a visitor in this place, and I'm just gonna do what I can with what I got, and I'm gonna be respectful of everyone around me, and not just act like some entitled person that knows more.
Yeah, because you're never gonna actually immigrate, like, completely assimilate. Like,
yeah,
no place like, you will never 100% assimilate in a place. Because no matter how fluent you become in the language, no matter how long you live in a place, no matter how long you, like, do everything like they do, you're just not them. They're, like, little. I'm sorry that hurts. That is a big ego. That's a huge ego crusher. But you're not, like, even if you do everything right, there's still that sense of you're just not one of us, and, like, it's not intentional, but it's there. Yeah. And some of it's culturally related, but some of it is just like just circumstance. But I think as long as, like, you just keep going, like, trying and, like, actually doing the things that you need to do, and actually making sure that you are meeting them halfway, at least, at the very minimum. But I mean, if you're going to be living somewhere permanently, you should probably go a little more than half. Then, Then that will make integrating a bit easier. You'll be more likely to find friends that are locals and just, like, find a job and like, be a part of cultural experience, I guess. Yeah.
And I also feel like it creates, at least for me, speaking from my own experience, more gratitude when someone is willing to, like, step into, like, a discomfort for themselves, inconvenience themselves for me.
Yes.
Knowing, like, okay, this is different culturally for you, to accommodate me in this way, to speak my language, or to, like, help me with this thing, or, like, just some general kindness.
Yeah.
You know? It's, like, to go away from your friend group for a second to, like, help me assimilate in, or, you know, like, that all is an inconvenience to these people of whatever place I'm in. Like, to me, it gives me so much gratitude that I'm like, wow, there are incredible humans everywhere that are so willing to, like, inconvenience themselves in a very big way to help me, and to, like, be kind to me, and to help me feel more comfortable in this place and in this space, you know?
Yes, 100%, yes.
And then, like, when that happens, and when you feel that, and you get to make genuine friendships and have big conversations with people that are, like, more than surface level, you know? You, like, share this humanity with each other.
Yes, yes.
That is so beautiful, and it is, to me, what makes it all worth it is, like, wow, I'm able to have more respect and, like, to live in the discomfort and do all these things, because even with all of that, there are incredible people here that are so kind and amazing to me. And then, at least for me, because I've gone back and forth. Like, I've lived in a place, then gone back home. Lived in a place, gone back home. I feel like it has given me so much more empathy when I'm at home. And, like, even when I was, like, working, I was working retail, and, you know, someone would come in and they don't speak English, and, you know, I'm working the cash register. Something as simple, I know from experience how much it means to have the cashier write a number down for you instead of verbally saying it, because numbers are universal.
Yes.
You know? And, like, to take the time to pull out Google Translate and
hold up the line, and people are like,
yeah.
What's going on? Like,
Exactly.
Especially in the U.S., they're like, come on, I can't be inconvenienced, you know?
Right. But, like, I'm so much more willing to do that now because I have had countless experiences of people being willing to do that for me, and I know how much that meant to me. For them to go out of their way to pull out Google Translate, to help me communicate, help me find what I was looking for, or, like, get what I needed. So now, when I see someone in a position that I've been in, I feel like that's where I'm able to... I think it's the beauty of traveling.
Yeah,
it's like,
it opens your eyes to a different perspective, open-mindedness, and you really do touch a good point on the humanity, because, unfortunately... when you grow up in certain places, you are told certain things by society, by your government, by the media, by whatever. Yeah. And they're not always going to be correct. And I find that, especially when you're by yourself, there are bad people out there in that world. Yeah. There are way more nice, genuine, kind people out there. And so when you're a solo traveler like myself, if you find yourself in a situation... there will always be someone, it might take a little bit of time, but there will be someone out there to lend your hand, no matter where you are. And so at the very core, we're all human. At the very core, we all have 7 basic emotions, there's 7 universal emotions that humans have, and at the very core humanity of it, I think there's this instinct that you just
want to connect.
You connect, you help people, as long as that hasn't been tarnished by other factors, yes. All else being equal. But you're not alone, not in the world. You might feel like you're alone, but you're never alone.
And that is so beautiful. I think that this leads into my big core of what I want to get to. Okay. Which is going to be safety.
Ooh, yes.
Safety as a single female traveler. Yes. Because I think what you just said, this idea and belief, you have to believe, I think, in order to do something as scary and intimidating as leaving your country of origin and going someplace new, there has to be a very big part of you, no matter how cynical you may be, you need to believe that there are good people where you're going. Oh, yes. And there is always going to be someone that is going to be willing to help you, and it is, you're not going to be naive and stupid and, be conscious of your surroundings and not naive to the fact that, a crime happens everywhere, and sometimes you put yourself in a place where maybe it's higher or there's a bigger risk. There's risks everywhere, but I think the belief that there is goodness, kindness, generosity that is there for you needs to be so present in order for you to be brave enough to travel and have enough confidence in getting around. Because if fear is going to be ruling your life when you're abroad, you are not going to have a good time. You are not going to go out. You are not going to connect with people.
It's going to take away the purpose of traveling.
Yes. Yeah. And I think a lot of people from back home, at least in my experience, when I told them, especially when I was going to China, they just would immediately be like, it's so scary, it's so terrifying. I've never in my life felt safer than when I was in China.
Yeah, it's super,
so safe for female travelers. Yes. But this projected fear, you can't let that get to you. And I just always felt like it was going to be okay. And, I mean, it was incredible. It was the nicest, kindest, most generous place that I've been. And I met the most amazing friends and stuff, but there were moments right before I left that I was like, oh my gosh, am I gonna die? Am I gonna go and this is gonna be terrifying? But I had to kind of sit with myself and be like, you're smart. You wouldn't trust someone that isn't worth trusting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to have that confidence in yourself that you have good enough intuition, and you need to practice listening to your intuition before you ever leave.
Oh, yes.
This cannot be a skill you learn on the road. Like, you need to,
yes.
you will refine it when you're gone, for sure, but this cannot be a new skill that you do not already have. You need to trust yourself when something is a good situation, when something is a bad situation. You need to have enough confidence in yourself to get out of bad situations, to tell people no. You need to be, I think, very comfortable with that, expressing your desires, expressing your wants, your needs, in something as simple as, like, ordering at, you know, a takeout place. You need to be able to do that and be confident in that in your hometown before you ever are going to be able to do that in a different country and tell someone no.
Oh, like, boundaries. You know? I said that with boundary setting. Yeah, boundary setting is going to be your best friend. Now, unfortunately, some people have different life experiences, you know. Right. Gotta set the ground rules. And so we all have different personalities.
Yep.
Some personalities, so I think of like the 16 personality types. And so there's, for the S and, so it's N and S for the second column. N stands for intuition, technically. Or like intuitive, I think, technically. S, I think it's like sensible or senses or something. And so, like, it's your way of sort of, like, perceiving the world in some ways. I can't remember the exact, like if you were to Google, like, I can't do textbook. Yeah. So some people are going to be more intuitive than others as, like, a personality trait. And then, based on your childhood experiences, some parents are going to encourage risk-taking and risk play. Which, by the way, tangent, risk play is probably one of the most important skills to teach a child. It's so scary to, like, let your kid climb a tree, because they could fall and break their arm or their leg. But what you're doing by letting kids, with, you know, like, supervising from a distance, I suppose, but, like, when you let kids, like, kind of be a little bit adventurous and, like, climb trees and stuff, like, they are developing skills and the pathways in their brain to be able to assess, oh, maybe I shouldn't jump from that branch all the way to a branch that's like several yards or away, you know, like I'm like, and so they have to, like, it is going to be a learning curve, like you learn by experience, but I was blessed. I grew up in a generation where, like, this was before cell phones, like, really were mainstream, and so, like, as long as my parents knew where I was, just go out, I play. And if I was changing locations, I let them know, but otherwise, like, be out in the yard for quite a long time, play with the neighbors, climb trees, do all that type of stuff. But, you know, that gave me independence because my parents weren't hovering over me and making sure that I was, like, constantly being safe and everything. But they were also allowing me to take risks. You know, there are, like, cars drive down the street, they don't pay attention. So there's a risk that my kid could get hit, or, like, a ball could end up in the gutter and I'd have to go fish it, and what if I got stuck? Or maybe I was on the playground and some kid dared me to, like, lick a telephone pole when it was freezing out, like, you know, like, like, those are risks that you take. Sending your kid to school, that's a risk for some people, depending on the community you live in. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But because I developed those skills early on, that gave me an advantage, going back to, like, challenges and strengths. So, like, it goes, like, a strength is that, like, I have a very high intuition. I also have a very high risk tolerance. So that might be a bit of a challenge. And I think for a solo female child, I'm a little bit, like, too risk-taking in some ways. But it's always calculated. So there's like, Evel Knievel risk-taking that, like, you know, does, like, crazy stunts. And then there's calculated risk-taking, which is what you should learn as a child. And so those are the calculated risks are the ones where you have to, like, critically analyze, okay, I'm in this situation, I'm with these people, I'm in this environment. And so based on these factors, if I choose to do this or this or this, where could I end up, or what could happen? And yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. So the more experiences you have, the more you're going to be able to piece in those puzzles. Yeah. But your intuition comes into a play where it's like, oh, if that doesn't feel quite right, it's probably not right.
Yeah.
I mean, because there are creeps. We talk about culture shock and like differences in culture as well. You know, one thing that's I think there are going to be creeps universally, unfortunately. Like, you're not going to go to a place and not encounter a creepy guy, like, or a creepy woman. I mean, like, there are some creepy women out there as well, but for a woman, it's usually a man.
Yeah.
And it's usually a certain demographic. And so, like, but, like, learning how to sort of navigate the situations, especially when, like, oh, man, I can't tell you how many times I'm at the pub and men are buying me drinks, like. And I look like I'm in my early 20s when I'm in my 30s. And so that is, people are shocked, but also that gives me, like, people kind of perceive me as a bit innocent and naive. And so then I have to sort of be like, no. Like, set the boundaries. Like, and, like, and going back to, like, childhood experiences, like, depending on people's childhood experiences, they might not properly know how to set boundaries because parenting styles might be not conducive to that, and some like they might be too permissive or too authoritarian, so they can't advocate for themselves, or they can walk all over their parents, or maybe they're because if they had traumatic experiences throughout their whole childhood, maybe they haven't been able to develop the ability to set boundaries because they're constantly in survival mode, and so those are challenges that people that don't have those really solid backgrounds are going to face on the road. But it's not doom and gloom. You can learn them. It's just going to be a lot of trial and error and potentially riskier situations. But, I mean, there are ways that you can practice boundary setting in your home country. Like, when you said ordering, like, advocating yourself or, like, saying, no, I don't want to do this today. Knowing what, like, trying to get in touch with your sensations and how you're feeling and your body and your mood and your energy levels and what the activity is and just kind of and the people you're with, you do have autonomy to say, like, I'm my own person, and for me, this is not the right place to be right now, and so, like,
even if it is a good thing, but sometimes you just really don't want to go out, and you don't want to do the things, even with your friends, but sometimes you will, solely based on, like, well, you are afraid that you're gonna upset them, or that they're going to look at you differently. And I think that those are the kinds of things that, like, you should take some time to sit with that. Like,
it is uncomfortable, it's vulnerable, and it's insecure. There are insecurities around that. It does take a lot of practice. I know I used to be horrible at saying no. Like, I do everything. I mean, in uni, it didn't matter. Like, I was living my best life, and I think because I was saying no, like, I wasn't saying no to anything. Like, I had, like,
tons of opportunities,
tons of opportunities. I was overworking myself. I had, like, 50 million acquaintances I was trying to, like, balance. Like, okay, I'll hang out with you, and then I'll hang out with you, and I gotta be at this place right now. So learning how to say no and be like, okay, I actually don't have time for that. Sorry. Like, something.
It's a skill.
It is a skill, and it's uncomfortable. And it still is uncomfortable sometimes, but, like, the more you practice it, the more, again, confident that you can get out there with the other tools that you have, like intuition, risk-taking, etc. And so when you're out without your strong support systems back home, then you can confidently, or at least, like, make a good educated guess. Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go home with this random stranger in this dark alley at 3:00 in the morning. Like, not that that's going to happen to you, but, I mean, like, some people might be in that situation. And so, like, but if you don't have the strong foundations, you're more likely to, like, panic or stress out or feel obliged to go with the person. And that's
huge.
And
I don't want to make them feel bad.
That's the worst thing. It's almost like one of the worst things a woman can say, honestly, because, like,
literally,
that's so dangerous to say, and that, I mean, you guys are worth women are worth more than that.
Amen.
Yes. Like,
amen. Oh, I preach that so much.
I know. I just feel, anyway.
I know, I feel for women. Yeah. This has been an incredible conversation.
Oh, yes.
Is there anything else that you want to add?
Oh, gosh. I mean, we could chat for hours, because, like, I have so many stories that I feel like we sort of alluded to, and then, like, there's just no time. Oh, gosh. Like, I feel like I'm, like, in some ways, like, I have so many random travel stories that people are just like, what?
Which, actually, this is going to be a good plug
for
your blog.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I did recently learned that they put up like a account log. But if you have polar steps, and are willing to get a free account, I do have a link to that. We could post that. Yeah, we could post it. Yeah. But I'm currently working up on like all of the back stuff, and it is going to be just about this stint from like Australia and beyond. So not like the stuff from my early 20s and my teens as I'm like hopping around Europe and Mexico and whatever. Of course, I'd be happy to share those stories in a future podcast or whatever. Yes. But like, I've even thought about writing a blog, like starting a new one called Lore Drop, and just like writing all these things.
Oh my gosh, you should so do that.
Because it's just so many random stories. But yeah, if you want to see like crazy antics I get up to, but also like I do try to educate people.
Yeah.
Because I've been in some situations that have sort of shattered some stereotypes, but then also like I'm pretty honest, and so as long as it's not like throwing someone else under the bus in a negative way, I will probably say things that most people aren't gonna say, and and I'll put disclosures if it's like triggering stuff, of course, but like I do take on like a different backpacking stance in the sense that I try to balance being local versus being being nomad, being traveler, in the sense that like I might pick a place to stay for a few months, but I'm gonna get involved with the community. I'm gonna volunteer. I mean, I do attend church, and I think that's for me as a faith-based person, that is helpful to like get integrated in the community. But of course, that's not gonna work for everyone. I'm not gonna there are people come from different walks of life and different experiences. But there are secular organizations that you can join that gets you connected with the community, learn about the culture more. You can practice your language building. You're helping. Like I used to like work at food pantries and like serve in Austria, like as a uni student.
I did that in Switzerland.
Yeah. Like, and so like working with refugees, for example, like I had to earn my street card, but once I did, like there are ways to give back to your community, and like you get a lot of benefit, but they get a lot of benefit, so it's mutual. So yeah, those kinds of stories. Also, like if I get stuck in the bush, like you'll learn how I was able to navigate that. And also, I'm pretty real. Like there might be portions where I'm not panicked, but I'm like maybe making the wrong decision. Like, no, honey, like let's try again. Maybe you should call the police before you call like the National Park Service. So like stuff like that. But I read about it now and I laugh about it because like I know I'm okay and I made it out fine. But yeah, give it a read, or like sometimes I'll give like little excerpts on Instagram. Like I have so many car troubles, and I'm just like, the meme is now like thumbs down when I have a car trouble. Like, or if you just want to like see some beautiful landscapes of right now Australia, but in the future like other places. I mean, I guess I have Canada and Alaska in there as well. But like, yeah, if you like, feel free. I will post the Instagram and whatever. So yeah, and I'm also available for DMs. Like I love helping people plan and travel and just like validate experiences. Like if someone doesn't have like a support person to talk to, like I love just like being that person. So
thank you so much, guys. Rebecca is so cool, absolutely amazing. And I think if there's just like a message, a theme across any time that I talk about travel, especially with other people, I hope the theme is you don't necessarily have to be a certain personality type. Like I am extremely type A. I like a certain type of travel experience. You know, I've had different people with different personalities, and different travel expertise, different confidence levels. But I think overall, like, the more people that I have on talking about their experiences, I hope that it is able to, I don't know, get into your head of like, I don't have to be a certain type of person, but like I really have to have those elements that Rebecca talks about. I loved those. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and like list the 3 that you said, because it's like anybody can have those. Anybody.
Yeah, and I can add more morals and ethics. Like I think, not to like go on and on, but I think so like there's confidence and just intuition and all that, but also like if you do have an open mind and are willing to like definitely put yourself out there you do learn a lot when you're on the road. So a lot of it is like putting yourself out there and trying new things and new foods and new experiences.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't but make sure you don't do it at the compromise of your morals and ethics and safety. Because we don't want you to, like, we want you to stand up for your believing, because that's your unique identity, and I think that deserves to be shared, and people can learn from that.
Oh, that was beautifully said. My gosh.
So yeah,
Yes.
be open-minded, but don't be like, I don't know, suppressed. Like, don't, yeah.
Yeah. Stand up for who you are and what you think matters, and it can be shared. And I love that you just said, you know, it can add perspective. My beliefs. I mean, I come from a religious background that is very polarizing sometimes to people who have heard of it, or like maybe they've never heard of it, and then like I love being their introduction to a Latter-day Saint. But if I were to like shy away from that, I feel like I would be keeping not only a huge part of myself hidden, but I would also be keeping other people from an opportunity to learn and to broaden their perspective in the same way that others are broadening mine, and leaving my home country is like adding to my life experience and adding to my toolkit as a person. I have the opportunity just within myself, just being me, to give that to other people in the places that I travel to, you know, for the people who may never leave home, that this is their home or wherever it may be. Like, don't forget that you have value in that as well. Like, you have a story to share. I always think it's funny that people think that they're so boring or whatever.
No.
They're like, oh, no. Even if you've, like, never left your hometown or whatever, to me, that's incredibly fascinating.
Yes, I agree, yes.
These, like, deep family roots.
Because I cannot relate, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I feel the exact same way. Like, people who, you said, like, talk to their moms, you know, like, every single day. Like,
cannot relate
to that.
No,
like,
yeah.
And that's not to say that me and my mom have a bad relationship. No,
exactly,
like,
yeah.
we have great, but it's different. And so, like, someone deciding to, like, get married young and have kids and, like, do the stay-at-home mom life or whatever, to me, that's not boring.
No.
What an incredible life you're living.
When having kids, especially when they're young, like, oh, man, just every day is a different,
Exactly. Like, you have life experiences that are worth sharing, that can broaden someone's perspective, like me, someone who is single, who does not have those experiences.
Yeah.
To say that they are less valuable, I think, really is a detriment to your thinking. Like, you are just as valuable. We are the same, like, on the value scale, you know? So take whatever experiences you have in the world that you live in and that you've created around, and, like, have all of those elements, create an adventurous life wherever that may be. For some, it's, like, leaving. For some, it's staying. And all of these things can apply, I think, to anyone in any stage of life.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just a message I want to get across to people. It's like, you don't have to be a certain person. You don't have to be like me. You don't have to be like Rebecca.
Yeah, and you can be any age. Like, I've met travelers who didn't start traveling till their 50s or 60s.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I think I mentioned a couple in my vlog, actually. Yeah.
Guys, go read Rebecca's vlog. Yes, I'm going to plug that so hard. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was such a blast to be here, and just, I love traveling and just sharing my experiences and story. I'm a huge storyteller, so, like, I'm so keen to be here, and I'm honored that you invited me to come talk today. And I just hope that I inspired somebody out there.
Oh, yeah. I know for sure. I'm gonna get DMs and I'll send them to you.
Okay.
People are they're gonna listen to this. You said so many profound things that I was like, that is so good. Like, that's so golden. The advice that you gave, the practical, like, painting the picture.
Yeah.
Just so awesome. So great. So thank you. I'm gonna have you sign us out.
Okay. Thank you for listening to Our Thoughts on Life, because this has been A Life According to Nikki.
Beautiful.